Hi guys, Olivia here, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. Today is Friday, August 21st, and I am back for my update. It's been a little less than 2 weeks since my last one, so I hope you've all been well and you've been stitching and creating and making all of the things. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. And if you are brand new to my channel, welcome. This is a video podcast about cross-stitching and sometimes quilting. However, if you are not interested in seeing the quilts, I show those in the second half of my video, and I let you know in plenty of time that they're going to make their appearance, so that way you can go on to the next Flosstube video. So I hope you guys have had a great 2 weeks. I know my last video was late, and if you haven't seen my previous video, what had happened was on the day that I normally record my videos, which are Fridays, I got the video all finished, edited, and was trying to upload it, and it would not upload. No matter what we did, we tried a couple of different video editing platforms when the first one failed, and we just could not get that video to upload. And it finally, the next day, we were finally able to get it to upload, but then the audio was off by quite a lot, and at that point I was just done. I'd had enough. It was 4 days of torture, and I finally just deleted it and redid a new video, and then dealt with that. It wasn't fun. I was ready to just burn all of the devices in the house because it just was a nightmare. So my hope is that this video I won't have any problems uploading. I heard a rumor that on that particular day, across social media, people were having trouble in all sorts of things. And I guess at the same time, that particular Friday, Google was doing a big update to their Google Classrooms to help streamline the distance learning for the teachers. And I think that my video, if I would have done it on Thursday, it would have been fine. If I would have tried to record it on Saturday, it would have been fine. But just recording it on that day, it just messed everything up. So I redid the video, and it came out late, and I felt really bad. I felt like a huge failure, but it's up, and thank you so much if you watched it. I appreciate it. A brief life update, because I just kind of stuck to the facts in my last video and didn't do life updates, didn't do anything. So prior to that, Brian had his appendix taken out, and thank you to everyone for all of your well wishes and kind thoughts. It was very much appreciated. He is doing well. He's fully recovered, back to his old self. And yeah, it was very unexpected. And I remember when we were waiting, the hours and hours of wait, he told me that he always thought that the appendix was something that kids get, or that appendicitis were things that the kids get, and adults can get it too. And the doctor told us that the week before there was an 85-year-old woman who had her appendix taken out, so it can happen at any time. But thank you to everyone for all of your wonderful comments. I did have a whole bunch of questions, and what I did was I condensed them way down because a lot of the questions were the same, but I was not able to answer any of them in my last video. And I got a few more, pretty much kind of the same type of questions, and I wanted to go ahead and, address those questions now. The first kind of batch of questions that I got was in regards to Land That I Love by Teresa Kogut. As you know, I'm stitching this on 36 count tin roof. It is the called for, and I am doing it 2/2. And a lot of the questions were, am I going to have to buy extra threads because I'm stitching it 2/2? I would imagine yes, but I'm not going to do it right now because some of the threads I won't need to, and I'm guessing a lot of the main threads, like the Weeks Dolphin, I probably will have to get another skein or two. But I usually wait until I have used up, because I think it calls for 3 skeins of Weeks Dolphin. And I'm going to wait till I get to the very last skein and then see how much left I have to stitch, and then I'll go ahead and order another skein of floss. But I'm not gonna jump the gun and buy double the amount of everything, because some of the threads you won't need. You might only use a part of the skein. So I'm just gonna kind of wait and see how the stitching goes. Next question that I got was from Carol, and she is Carol's Crafty on Instagram, and she asked me if I make a working copy or not, and she is referring to Land That I Love. So when I first got ready to start this, I did try to make a working copy, but because this paper is so shiny, it's got this nice laminate on it, when I went to go put it onto my copy machine and copy it, it distorted the symbols. So, and I don't always make a working copy. Once in a great while I will, like for something like this where it is a booklet, or if the chart is really big, I will copy parts of it. But normally I use a magnet board for all of my stitching. I was gonna go grab the original one that my grandma gave me when I was like 11 or 12. I think she gave it to me for Christmas along with the DMC box. But it's in one of my other projects and I forgot to grab it. Anyway, but I use one of these. This is the 8.5 by 11 size. So let's just pretend that these are the symbols. So I will just take my magnet board and place it behind, and then I will take the magnet that is the ruler, and I'll just move it around wherever it is that I'm working. And as I finish a line, I'll just move it down and I just move it all around. And so that's what I use. For this one, it's kind of the same. I keep meaning to make a working copy of the back, because anytime I go to swap out my threads, I'm having to take it off the magnet board, and I stitch at night, and it just seems like a lot of work to get up and walk out to where the copy machine is to make a copy of the back. And I always think I should do it 800 times a day, and I never do, but that's what I do. I usually just use a magnet board to keep my place. And then Sherry Murdoch, she said that she is ordering the Elan lapstand, and she's wanted to order a lock scroll frame to go with it. What size would I recommend? So this is what she's talking about. This is the Artesian lock scroll frame. This is the size that I use. So this one is the 21-inch lock scroll frame, and it has a 19-inch opening. So there's the opening right there. And these are just twist ties that I use to keep the wooden dowel inside, because if you lose the wooden dowel, you have to send away for it, and yeah. Anyway, so I use this one all the time. It works for I guess it would be, I'm gonna call it a fat quarter, but I think press stitchers refer to it as a fat half. It's 18 by something. And I find myself using that size a lot. Is it 18 by 27? I should have looked. But this is a size that I would recommend, especially if you're doing large projects. And I love it. I keep thinking that I would like to get a one that has a 12-inch opening, or no, a 13-inch opening, because then I could do some of the smaller. Instead of putting it in a Q-snap, I could just put it on the scroll frame, because I like it. It gets really nice and tight without getting too tight to distort the linen. And but I would recommend the 21-inch lock scroll. And then Karen Jorgen Jensen, she wanted to know if when I tea coffee dyed my Olga, did it change the thread color? So in my last video, I showed my Olga Start Finish, and I talked a little bit about how right after I was getting ready to fully finish it, I gave it a dunk and I forgot about it. Yes, it does a little bit. It definitely changed the white to where it was more of a cream, and then some of the threads got a little bit darker. It wasn't a lot, just a little bit. And then the other question that I had was, where do I find the ticking that I used on my Christmas Wishes pillow? So this one I got asked a lot. And so this is the one that they're talking about. I showed this in my last video, and the ticking is the material that I used. I got mine from Joann's, and I saw in the comments when I had posted a picture of this, Someone had asked that question in the comments, and then someone else had answered that they had got their ticking at Hobby Lobby. The next question that I got is from Darby Logan, and she said, I am wanting to start Anniversaries of the Heart. Can I explain how I get the size or position of each of the blocks? So in each of the charts, which another question that I got, side note, there's only 12 charts in the series, and as long as you have all 12, you have everything, all the charts needed to complete the Anniversaries all on one piece if you want to. But back to Darby's question. So in each of the charts, there is a layout diagram, and it shows each of the months along with the 2 bonus blocks. And down here, it gives kind of a brief little instruction on how many spaces apart each of the blocks need to be. And so there's 3 spaces in between, or 3 like stitch spaces. Each block has 3 spaces in between. So you would just imagine that you're counting over 3, and then on the 4th one, that's where your new stitch goes for the next block. So I hope that answers your question, and I hope you'll join us in the stitch along. It's been a lot of fun. And then the other question that I got, and I feel, so I have the same question, just not with Christmas wishes, but a lot of you wanted to know, where can you get a copy of Christmas Wishes by Tina Woolman? So this is the finish, again, that I showed in my last video. And to be honest, I have not been able to find any of her charts for sale anywhere. And it is very sad because she had a whole bunch of autumn ones that I would have loved to have. There's some Thanksgiving ones. They're just so cute, so prim, just so lovely. And I've looked everywhere and I cannot find them for sale. It did lead me back to her website, and it does not look like her website or her Facebook page has been updated since December of 2018. I did send an email because she did have like a contact, with questions you could send her an email. I sent her an email a week ago and I haven't heard anything. So if anybody knows how you can get a hold of the charts, where they might be for sale, or are they out of print now, please let me know, because I would love to get my hand on some more of them. I had a blast stitching Christmas Wishes. It was so much fun, and I wish there was a way that I could point you in the direction. So if anybody knows, let me know, and then I can let everyone else know. So that is all of the questions that I had. I know that there were probably some more that I have forgotten, and I'm sorry. I will, I'll do a quick scan of my, the video before last, and if I see any that I missed, I will be sure to mention it in my next video. Something that I did make, and I did post this everywhere today because I absolutely love it, is from Peach Bottom Primitive Patterns. It's Prims by Denise on Etsy. Here is what, you get a PDF pattern. So that is what the PDF pattern looks like. And I purchased it, I think it was like $2. And then Allison and I yesterday, we made this guy. And he's so cute, I love it. He smells like cinnamon rolls. I keep wanting to like lick it, but I think that's probably not appropriate. But he smells really good. Freddie also wants to eat him as well, because I was gonna set him, I have my great-grandmother's vintage sewing machine, and I was gonna set him on the foot pedal, but I realized Freddie would snack on him. So this is how it turned out. I posted a picture on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. What you did is you took a piece of muslin, you cut it to the dimensions that the pumpkin is, you trace out on the same piece of muslin, you trace out the stem, and then you use watered down acrylic paint, and you paint the pumpkin orange, the stem black, and so I had Allison do that. And then I did all of the sewing, so he is super stuffed with a ton of fiberfill. And believe it or not, his eyes and nose are made out of batting that you paint. And once you paint it, you bake it, and when it comes out, you use sandpaper, and you sand the pumpkin, you sand the stem, and then you attach them all together, make it into the pumpkin shape, and then you give it its, you paint it again with the coffee stain, and then you bake it. And right before it's dry, you apply a second batch of stain, and then you bake it again until it's completely dry. And this is how he turned out. I love him. Originally, I thought I was gonna make more, but it's a pain in the, and I think it's just because it's painted so it feels like canvas. It was really hard to get the needle and thread in and out to, you know, tack him down and put his eyes on. It was just, it was a pain. And I think that if I just use regular, any sort of like orange material and black material, put it all together and then coffee stain it and bake it, I think it would give the same effect, and I'm gonna try it that way. But to do it this way, paint it first and then try to sew it, it was challenging, but it turned out really well. I love it. Like, he smells so good. Oh my gosh, he smells like cinnamon rolls and coffee, just yummy. So I think he turned out really, really good. So we did that yesterday. It was a lot of fun. I've been doing a lot of long arm quilting for clients, and so this was a nice break. So yeah, I'm all into the autumn feels right now. And if you're interested in making one of those pumpkins for yourself, I'll make sure to put a link to the Etsy shop down below. I think she was having a sale in her shop because I bought the pumpkin pattern, and then there's a ghost pattern that you do the same thing to. And they were on sale. I think the pumpkin pattern cost me $2 and change, and the same with the ghost pattern. So I think on Sunday, Alice and I are gonna attempt the ghost, and I'm gonna put the ghost all together, and then she'll paint it, and then I will do the coffee stain. And the coffee stain is instant coffee, cinnamon, vanilla, and water. I mean, it's just, the house smelled so good. It smelled like coffee cake. I mean, it was so delicious. I wanted to just drink it, but I'm sure it probably tasted horrible. Anyway, but I'll put a link to her Etsy shop down below if you want to make one for yourself. So I ended up changing up my rotation a little bit over the past 2 weeks. I was working on Land That I Love by Teresa Kogut, and I rotated it out for just the time being. Last year, I kind of cut myself off at the feet. I started working on Skeleton Crew by the Cricket Collection, and I was working on a couple other larger projects, and I wasn't able to get any of the seasonal smalls done that I wanted. So this year, I decided I'm going to work on smalls all through the holiday season, because I want to have those cute little display vignettes like Ginger Shawl has. And so that is my goal this year. And the first thing that I started, well, I've been working on other things, but in this 2-week rotation, I've been working on Witch's Night Out. I did show this in my last video, and I talked a little bit about how our cute puppy Freddie was waking me up really early in the morning, and I was finding myself having like an hour of free time where I could stitch. Freddie decided to start sleeping in, so I don't get that hour in the morning. So instead, I decided to just put this into my regular rotation and work on it. I started back on her on Monday after I finished Allison's block on Anniversaries. All last week, I ended up working on Anniversaries. So this week, I've been rotating between this one and Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain. So I will continue working on her until she is done, and when she's finished, I will put her into a pillow. This is 36 count antique cotton, and I'm using all of the called for threads. And the nice thing is all of the threads that this particular chart calls for, I have a couple other charts that I'm going to be stitching that call for the same threads. So I will be able to get the most for my dollar. So anyway, I love it. And these are the threads that I'm using. There's only one thread that is missing, and that's because it's back in my sewing box, because it's one of the ones that I ended up using on Allison's block, and I just haven't reattached it. Next up is Brian's stocking. This is Victorian Father Christmas by Stony Creek Magazine. This is the summer 2015 issue, which is still available on their website. I think in my last video I was back stitching, so I have completely finished. Let me put this behind it. So I have completely finished all of the back stitching that is in this upper portion. So there's a page break right here, and I have started down on the rest of his robe, and there's another page, so there's a page break right here, and I think that is the bottom of the stocking. I think it comes down like this, and then there's another page over here. So I'm stitching Victorian Father Christmas on a piece of 28 count white Lugana with the called for everything. And I think it looks really cool. I love it. And the back stitching really helped, you know, just sort of make it come alive. And I'm glad that I did the back stitching before I moved on to the bottom. And so that's gonna save a lot of time. So I'll do the same thing. Once I finish this page here, I'll do all the back stitching and then I'll start on the next page. So my goal is to hopefully have this finished by November and then figure out how to make it into a stocking. I've been told there's a lot of great tutorials out there, but I talked to my grandma about it, and she makes stockings for everybody, all the grandkids and the great-grandkids, and she even made the stocking that was mine. Mine was the very first stocking that she ever made, and I don't have it. It is lost to me forever, and I'm very sad about it, very bitter, and I think that's a lot of the reason why I haven't made myself a stocking, is because I'm still holding out hope that I'll be able to be reunited with it. But she makes stockings for everybody, and I'm gonna have her help me do it. So, but thank you for all of the stocking tutorial, you know, the links and things like that. Thank you so much. Next up is Clara Ellen by Blackbird Designs. This is part of the Anniversaries of the Heart series. This is Block 8. I switched my anniversaries around a little bit, and I put Block 8 where Block 7 goes. So Block 7 is Swan Lake, and that's the one I'm gonna work on next, but I wanted to work on Block 8 because it was Allison's block, and she was born in August. It's August now, and I decided to go ahead and move it up in the timeline of stitching it, and I also felt like it would help Molly's block a whole lot. So there are the two blocks all together. And if I move it, let's see, my camera's gonna change, and hang on. There was a certain way that if I held it, it would show true to colors. There. So that is true to color right there. So I changed out a bunch of stuff. I let Allison pick the colors that she wanted in her block. What I did is I kind of knew, I went through and I knew, you know, I pulled the called for, I had some of the called for, so I went ahead and I pulled some of those, and I went light and dark, and I gave her kind of a selection to choose from. And so these are the colors that she chose for her block. The only change that I made was to the sunflower centers, and I ended up using, I think it's dark chocolate. Let me look. I pulled it out of my Autumn Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain. Yeah, it's the Gentle Arts dark chocolate. That's what I used for the sunflower centers. It was just perfect. It wasn't too dark and it wasn't too light. It just kind of gave that really nice variegation. And there it is. A couple of things that ended up not being able to be in the block is there is a bird that sits right in here, but Allison's name was too long. I put her date of birth, which is down here in the urn, and then the year that she graduated is right up next to the house. There you go. So I love it. I think it's one of my favorite blocks out of the whole series. I just love how it looks. And here are them all together. So it's looking really good. I love it, love it, love it. So next up is going to be Swan Lake. I need to pull the colors for that one. That particular block has a lot of blues and grays and whites. And I think I'm going to stitch it for my paternal. So it'd be my dad's mother's mother. So my great-grandmother, who was also a quilter. And I have the quilt that, I have one of her quilts. And so I'm gonna stitch it for her. And I will, in my next video, I will show the quilt that I have that she stitched. My dad told me that her and her sisters used to get together, and they would each individually make their own quilts, and then they would get together and they would work on one quilt. They would all hand stitch it. And I think that's really cool. And I love that. And I love that I am, you know, that the quilting comes down through the blood on both sides of my family. So that's really neat. It did skip a generation. So my great-grandmother was a quilter. My grandma tried to quilt. She did make a couple of quilts, but it wasn't really her forte. My mother does not quilt, and then I quilt. So, and I don't know that Allison's going to be a quilter. So my hope is that maybe one of my grandchildren will be a quilter. When Zoe was here visiting, I did ask her if she would like to learn how to quilt so that I can pass on my knowledge to her. She said yes, but we'll see. But I like having that connection to both sides of the women on my family, that we were both, you know, that there were quilters on both sides of the family, and I love that connection with them. And they were also, you know, beautiful hand needlework, and I love that I'm connected to that. And this, before I forget, is the threads that I did use. Again, there's a few missing out of here because I ended up, so let's talk about this for a minute. On the border, I ended up using 3 different colors. I ended up using, there's a gray, which is stepping stones. Where's the gray? So this is stepping stones right here, right here. And then I used grasshopper. And the other one that I used, I do not know, but I mean, it's laying back there, and what I will do is I will put, maybe just in the description box, I will just, you know what, I don't know, maybe it'd be better if I did a blog post. I'll do a blog post and I'll list all of the colors that I used on Allison's block, because I did change out a lot. I think you were only supposed to use 1 color for the border, and I didn't. I used 3. I don't know. I'm trying to make it my own. I don't know, like my own spin, I guess. And so I've somehow gotten away from using, you know, like the called for, or even the you know, I kind of stick a little bit to the color scheme, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm just trying to make it my own, I guess. But these are the colors that I did use. And these are the colors that Allison picked out. I think she did a really good job. They're very beautiful. Okay, next up, Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain by Kathy Barrick. I am stitching this one with Kristie, who's Crosshatch Quilts. And this is my progress. So I went ahead and I finished the big giant orange house, which I love, and I would love to live in a big giant orange house. And I started working on the date above the house, and somehow, and I don't know, either my house is 1 stitch down. My house must be 1 stitch down, which means everything else is, like the tree's 1 stitch down. It must be that the tree is 1 stitch down, and so everything else is 1 stitch down. Because this is supposed to be, it's supposed to be exactly centered, and there's 2 stitches in between the border and, you know, the date. And there's supposed to be 2 stitches down here, and there's 3. I don't know how I did it, but it's fine. As long as the border matches up, it's fine. If it doesn't, I'll have to fudge it. But I love it. I love stitching on this. It's so much fun. This is 40 count Vintage Country Mocha. I'm stitching it with Lee Quirks and Stitches. She shared her color conversion which if you're on Instagram and you follow Quirks and Stitches, she showed her progress on this and it's beautiful. And I'm going to totally copy her because she finished the house and she finished all this, and then instead of going across, she went down. And so she finished the tree, and it's so beautiful, and I'm totally going to copy her, and I love it. So this is the threads that she is using. The only thing I changed out was I'm using a couple skeins of DMC, just because those particular flosses that were in the conversion, I didn't really feel like there was much. I've used them in other stuff, and I just didn't feel like there was enough variegation in the thread to use those. I'm just using, you know, plain old DMC is perfect. One thing I did forget to mention is my Anniversaries of the Heart is stitched on 35 count sand linen. The piece, which I've been asked this quite a bit lately, the piece that I'm stitching it on is 19.5 by 27.5. I'm not sure that I would recommend, I usually work with a 2-inch border, but if you want a bigger border, you're going to need to go, I would add a couple of inches all the way around, unless you're okay with working with a 2-inch border. I don't know, I kind of wish I would have went with a little bit bigger piece, but I was kind of working within my budget constraints, and I had this piece in my stash, and that's kind of why I picked it. But also, all of the information for everything that I'm working on, I always list it down below. So occasionally if I get the count wrong on a piece of fabric in my video, I do have the correct one down below. Sometimes, I guess for whatever reason, that particular, you know, saying 35 count, occasionally I've been known to say 32. I don't know why. I didn't know I had done that in my last video, but it is 35 count. So all of the information, all the correct information, I will put it down below, along with, if I don't necessarily list unless it's a small amount of threads, but if it's a huge amount of threads, I'm not going to list all of the threads that I use. I'll just say I used various threads, in the hopes that I will do a blog post. So plans. I do have some plans on the off chance that I finish any one of these in the next 2 weeks. And you're going to hear a little bit of crackle. So I am going to, when Witch's Night Out is finished, I'm going to start working on Holiday Inn. I think, is it Holiday? Yeah, it's like Halloween, Holiday Inn by Brenda Gervais. I am going to use the called for threads. I think there's a couple missing because I have it back in my box. So if I find that the things that I'm working on, I'm using the same threads in various cross stitch pieces, I will just leave them in my box. I have a box that sits by the side of my bed, which is where I do all of my stitching, and then I don't have to go looking for the threads in their floss rings. I can just, you know, grab it from the box. But these are the threads that are called for. Some I had in my stash, some I picked up. A question that I did have is, where do I purchase my threads from? I usually get them from Fire Poppies, and they are online. I will put a link to their shop below. They have amazing customer service, and the floss ships out pretty quickly. I think I ordered that batch of floss, and I got a shipping notification like an hour later, but I did order earlier in the day. I am going to be stitching it on a piece of 32 count mystery linen that came out of my stash. So that's my plans when I finish Witch's Night Out. And then one other little bit, and I know that I showed this in the last video. So this is Celtic Autumn. I've been known to call them the wrong name. For instance, Celtic Christmas, I keep referring to it as Celtic Noel. Yes, I know it's Celtic Christmas. I'm sorry, it says Noel on the front and I get mixed up. But this is Celtic Autumn. I'm going to be stitching it in the Janet Granger conversion, which is here. And I will put a link to her conversion down below. And I have it all kitted up now. So I'm going to start stitching this on September 1st. I'm stitching this with Lisa, and it is Lisa Loves Stitching on Instagram. She also has a Flosstube channel, and I will link it down below. I'm very excited. She's going to be stitching spring, and I'm going to be stitching autumn, and then when we're both finished, we're gonna swap patterns. And Lisa lives in Australia, and I love knowing that even though I might never get, I'm hoping someday I'll get to visit Australia, but I like knowing that it's gonna go to her in Australia when I'm finished. So right now they're getting ready to head into spring. We're getting ready to head into fall, and it's so fun. So we're gonna kind of be stitching our Celtic ladies together. And so we're gonna start September 1st. She's been ready and waiting patiently while I waited for all of my stuff to arrive, and I'm excited. Also, you should go check out Lisa's Flosstube, and I'll put a link down below. But it's so fun. I love stitching with friends. It just makes everything so much more fun, so much more memorable, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. Well, as far as the cross stitching goes, that's all I have to show for this video. But before you go, over the past couple of weeks, I hit 6,000 subscribers, which is amazing and totally blows me away. I'm so grateful to all of you guys who, you swung by my channel one day randomly, you liked what you saw, and you decided to subscribe and come back every 2 weeks to see what I'm up to. And I appreciate that more than you can possibly know. So of course, I have to celebrate that with a giveaway. So the giveaway is a $50 Amazon gift card. We use Amazon all the time. It's my favorite place to shop. And I know a lot of you guys feel the same way. So if you would like to win a $50 Amazon gift card, here's what you have to do. First of all, you have to be a subscriber. You have to like the video, and you have to answer the question in the comment section down below. You have to do it in the comment section, not on Instagram, not on Facebook. It has to be here on this video, because that's where I'm gonna go, because I do the random comment generator and I pull it from here. So if you're interested in winning it, this is the question you need to answer. And this question is brought to you by Allison, because I asked her, what question should I ask? And so she wants to know, if you could build a home anywhere in the world, where would you build it and why? And as long as you answer that question down below in the comment section, you could win a $50 Amazon gift card. Also, don't say giveaway. That's just kind of a general rule, and the majority of people do it. So, but just in case you're new and you've never entered a giveaway before, don't say giveaway. So again, you have to answer the question. If you could build a house anywhere in the world, where would you and why? You must be a subscriber. You must like the video, and don't say giveaway. And in my next video, which is in 2 weeks, I will announce the winner. So thank you so much to all of you guys who have subscribed to my channel, who have supported me along the way. To all of those who have just found me, thank you so much for subscribing. It means everything to me. So thank you, thank you. If you are not interested in seeing the quilting, which is what I'm going to show next, this is a great stopping off point, and thank you so much for stopping by today. And if you want to see the quilt that I have been working on and what I have to show for the quilting segment, stick around. I love talking about quilts, especially this time of the year when I have all of the fall feels. I've just been 100% into fall for like the last 2 weeks. I'm ready. Last year, I didn't make anything all year because I was busy making project bags, and this year I'm like, no, I need to make some stuff for myself. And also the reason why project bags haven't been going into my Etsy shop is because I've been quilting for clients. It's been crazy busy. And I'm almost caught back up again. I got a little bit behind, but I'm almost caught back up again. And as soon as I get caught up, I'll start adding project bags to the shop. But okay, so over the past 2 weeks, it was more like last week, I got a subscription to Primitive Quilts and Projects. And I've wanted to get a subscription to them for a really long time. I've gotten a few of their catalogs throughout the year, and I just love them. And I decided to go ahead and bite the bullet and subscribe to their magazine. But they had a quilt, because what happened was is if you subscribe to their quilt, you got like a $30 e-voucher, and you could go into their shop and you could download patterns, and all of their patterns are PDF downloads. And I saw this one. So this particular quilt is called Pumpkin Patch, and it was out of the Fall 2014 edition. It is designed by Rhonda McCrae, and like a month or so ago, I think, Yvette, she sent me all of those delicious fabrics. They're the Civil War fabrics, and I went and I kind of looked through my stash, and then my grandma and I went to a local quilt shop that is near to us, and I was able to pick up a few more things, but I collected the fabrics. So between Yvette's beautiful fabric she sent me, the few that I had in my stash, and then some new ones, I was able to go ahead and kit this up. So I'm going to start cutting this out over the weekend. I'm very excited. I remember I had the Fall 2014 magazine. I remember I bought it, and I came home and I poured over it, and I wanted to stitch this one. And then like 2 years later, I went through and I cleaned up my dungeon out there, and I got rid of a ton of stuff, and this magazine was one of the things I got rid of. And I couldn't remember the name of the magazine until I was sent an extra copy. And then something just kind of nagged at the back, because there's a quilt in there that I want to make. And I decided to go and look at the website, and then I ordered a subscription, and then I saw this, and it was meant to be, it was fate. And so I can't wait. But those are the colors I'm going to be using. I'm hoping I will have some progress to show in my next video, if not a finish. I mean, it's doable, it's beautiful. There it is. I just love it. I'm very excited. And then on Instagram, which is another great enabler, Tina from For Love of the Stitches, she has been sewing quilts, and everything that she sews I want to make. She just has perfect taste. And one of the mini quilts she finished is this pumpkin quilt. It's from Timeless Traditions. And she told me it was a kit that she had bought online, and I went and I got it. And it was weird because I purchased the kit, and then I didn't really hear anything. And so I asked her, I said, when you ordered it, did you get like notification or anything like that? And she said no. She just ordered it from the website, and then that afternoon it came. So I ordered it Thursday. It must have shipped out Friday, and I got it on Monday. And it came from Utah. But I love it. I'm excited to make this one. I can't wait. I'm gonna try to cut it out tomorrow. So I'm gonna try to cut it out and piece it tomorrow, because I think it's only gonna take an afternoon to put it together, and then I'm gonna start cutting out my pumpkin quilt. But then I did have a quilt finish. So once again, Tina, she posted a picture of this quilt. She called it the Lancaster Friendship Quilt, and her and Kristie of Crosshatch Quilts had been making them together. And then of course I saw it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to. And so Kristie said it was fine, I could copy, and Tina said it was fine, I could copy. And Tina sent me kind of because it was a pattern that she kind of, they kind of invented together. And so she kind of sent me some of the information, and I was able to get started, and I was able to get finished. And I know I've posted sneak peeks of it, and in the pumpkin picture that I posted this morning, you can see the quilt in the background. But here is the finished quilt. So here it is. My quilt finished 58 by 58, so it's a nice square throw size. And I love it. The background fabric I picked up from Thousands of Bolts, as well as the sashing fabric was also from Thousands of Bolts. The fabric is from Lancaster, the Lancaster line by Jo Morton. I purchased a jelly roll, and I used half of it, and I have the other half that I need to do something with. But I love it. I love how it turned out. I love the 4 patches on point. It's just such a classic quilt. I just love it. And so I am going to hopefully quilt that soon. I just need to get some backing fabric. Thank you so much to Kristie and Tina for letting me copy you and for helping me. I appreciate it. Those ladies are so nice. And I hope it will be the first of many quilts that we will do together. Or then I can like jump on the bandwagon with you guys. Anyway, so that is all I have to show in this video, but before I go, I'm gonna go get Freddie. I was gonna bring him into the video earlier, but he has been extremely rambunctious, so I'm gonna go grab him really quick and then I'm gonna say my goodbyes. So Freddie has calmed down quite a lot. He took a little bit of a nap, but this is Freddie. He's getting so big. He is over 5 pounds now. Thank you. He's my constant companion. I love him. He does get very wild child. Oh, you poor thing. Yes, he's so sweet. My husband says that he is definitely my dog. He follows me around everywhere, and I just love him. He's a little bit dirty. He went out in the dirt earlier, and he was playing, but yes, I just love him. He's so snuggly when he's sweet. Potty training, we have our good days and our bad days, but he's a puppy. He'll be 3 months old on the 22nd, and well, that's tomorrow. So the day the video comes out, he's 3 months old, but he's so sweet. He just had his 2nd round of shots. Yes, you poor thing. He's so sweet. I just want to hug him till his eyeballs pop out. He's so sweet. He's just so sweet and snuggly. I just love him. Yes. Anyway, so that is about all I have to talk about in this video. Thank you so much for all of you that stuck around for the quilting portion of my video. I appreciate it. I do have some other stuff out there that I am collecting to make into quilts, and I've been trying to space those out a little bit so I can show them in my videos. So guys, I will be back in 2 weeks. I hope you have a great couple of weeks. Don't forget to enter the giveaway, and thank you so much if you have stuck around to the end of the video. I love when even though there are a lot of cross stitchers who will send me a message and let me know that they, although they do not quilt, they love seeing the quilts and they love the segment, and I appreciate that so much. Yeah, just thank you so much. Poor little Freddie, he needs to go wake up from his nap, huh? Yes. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for stopping by today, and have a great 2 weeks. Say bye, Fred. Go bye. Bye, guys.